What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Back here with some updates on projects. As you guys can see, I have 844 all back together. Did a bunch of little detail painting, fixed up all of the white accents on the running boards and the wheels. So, as you guys saw, a nice slow roll by. This is the newer version that has that that kind of firebox fire flare from underneath, which is super cool. I think that's a really neat detail. Last time you guys saw this, it was all apart, and I took it further apart after that video to do some more in-depth painting. Completely repainted all the wheels, cleaned everything up really nice. All new white paint on the wheels. The running boards, of course, white. Anything done in red is now a nice shiny gloss red. Did the handles on top of the tender there for the dipsticks. And then can't really see it too much on this side. I'll try to get around. Got the shut-off valve for the whistle is painted red. Some of the little test cocks on the side of the tender are done up in red, like on the real locomotive. And then just a few little back tender details, like the MU plug, the water hose hookups for the external tender, and then the independent and actuating air hoses, and then of course a little red accent on the main reservoir hose. Put re-railers on each side of the back of the tender. If you guys have this model or have other oil burning steam locomotives, you might notice that this particular handle right there is shorter, as it should be. I don't know why Athearn makes them stick way up in the air. If you look at photos, they're fairly low profile, so I chop those down whenever I do one of those. But everything came out really nice on that. Really smooth running. Of course, I don't have a DCC controller right now, so I can't run through all the sound functions, but you guys got to hear a little bit of the sound. And just a wonderful locomotive, my favorite locomotive of all time. Definitely happy to have this version now, which is super nice, really shiny, love it. So that's all done. You guys see I also have out here 4141 and 1943. If you guys remember from one of my videos, I don't know if it was the last video or a couple of videos ago, I talked about putting a newer panel in 1943 because these two were just a little out of time with each other as far as like release dates. 4141 has the new style blue. I think I have one here. It's this blue colored board. As you guys can see, the everything's kind of wired up different on these. The track leads actually all come to one end of the board. The other end is all lights, and then of course accessories on the side that aren't really used on these. So I had to locate one of these with SD70 sound, or SD70 ACE sounds, and get that going. Now those two run awesome together, same speed and everything. And then you guys, I did not have this apart in my last video, but I talked about the work that I'm doing to 8772. This locomotive I got cheap without DCC and sound, but the nice thing is I had factory DCC and sound to put into it. So that's what we're doing. Of course, doing a couple other of the little detail paint accents that I like to do. This was the original DC board that came out of there. It does have the quick plug for aftermarket DCC on there, but I had all the factory stuff. This is a factory panel. It's actually the same time frame as the other 87 series that I have over here, 8747 and 8754. Both of those came with DCC and sound when I got them a while back, and so it's kind of nice to have another SD70 ACE in the 87 series, and then now it's going to have DCC and sound just like its sisters sitting there. I have a whole component, the whole weight block with the speaker in it to just switch out. As you guys can see, this is a silver painted part. I had thought about doing, I don't know if I can find it here. Here's some of my parts here. So this is the piece that originally came out of that locomotive, and you can just pop a speaker in there, but the ones with the speakers in them actually have a little bit of extra sound deadening material. It's a two-piece casted piece. Once it's screwed all together, and you guys can see there's a little thin foam gasket that goes in between there, and then also the seating surface that the speaker sits on. This little ridge in here gets the same little teeny foam insert to help the speaker kind of be isolated, make sure there's no rattling, and it's just easier to swap this whole thing out than to take the gray one apart and try to swap over those little gaskets. They're very delicate, and they're not a fun thing to swap over, and more times than not they don't stick the best after you've pulled them off of the surface that they were stuck to, and they're very brittle. They can tear really easy. So this is internal, no one's ever going to see it, so it doesn't matter that it's painted silver. So that's another nice thing about these, is if you do have those parts laying around, they're really nice, swappable. Everything's super easy. So right there we have the factory DCC board, and then a factory speaker insert with the speaker already in it. No change in the motors. The motors are all the same, so I'm not replacing the motor. Motor's in great shape. A couple things that I've done to the shell so far. As far as paint details is, I did black just around the exhaust port itself, not on anything else, just to kind of give that some dimension. The little fuel hookups on each side of the pilot, underneath the walkway there, underneath the anti-climber, I paint those silver. If you guys look at pictures, most of them are a clean silver component because it's some type of a hookup for external fuel tanks. So those are done in silver. Other than that, that's really about it. Not a whole lot to do on these because they are very nice. Just little things that I like. Of course, I went through all the hassle of putting the sanding lines on. That's probably the worst thing about these models, is putting on these sanders. The internal sanding lines, or the more inset sanding lines, aren't bad, but these ones that sit right up against the stairwell can be a real pain in the ass. They don't like to sit down in there very well. If you're trying to glue it, it's always popping out of place, and can be pretty frustrating. So those are not a fun thing to put on, but we make sure we get them on. Make sure everything's good there, so all the sanders are on. Something else that I did was I went ahead and painted the wheels too. You guys can see just the wheel face itself got paint. After painting, went and took lacquer thinner and a Q-tip and cleaned off the writing surface of the wheel, so that way I know I have a good clean contact surface. So those are ready to go back in the truck frames that are just all apart sitting over here. And this locomotive is about ready to go back together. Got all of my little paint projects done for that, and that'll be another project done. I need to get some couplers painted and weathered for it yet. We'll get that done. I'm using those KD metal shelf couplers. I have a few sitting over here for some other projects, but I like using those on these. They're not quite the correct type of shelf coupler, but they're a shelf coupler nonetheless, and they look great on there, so I use them. But other than that, that's really about it. You guys saw my SD70s. I got 4,000 up and going last time. I think I had that in the last video you guys got to see. And yeah, just doing some panel replacements here, trying to get some things running a little bit more smooth. 844 was definitely kind of a bigger project. These diesels are pretty easy to do. Taking apart these steamers, like I said, it's not hard, but there's definitely some difficult aspects to it. And just making sure you don't break anything, making sure you put everything back together correctly, making sure everything fits nicely. But I'm really happy with how this locomotive came out. Something else that I'd like to paint that you can't see that is painted on the real one. I'll see if I can focus in on it. The inside of the bell is done in red. If you guys have ever seen close-up photos of these locomotives, the inside of the bell is a nice gloss red, so I like to do that on all of these steam locomotives. Just another little detail. Silver glad hands for the air hoses up front, got those painted. See if I can bring in a couple other little details. These little caps in there are done in gold. You guys can kind of see how shiny they are. Nice shiny gold. The oiler, got the little red part painted on there. And then, of course, just the pilot truck wheels are done up really nice in white and black, just like on the real one. This one was kind of nice just because it is the newer version. The cylinder covers already come pre-silver. In the past, I've had to paint those parts silver. And so it's kind of nice that Athearn started doing that. Like I said, I just wish they would kind of take a little bit more time to do a nicer white paint on these. The white that I used is a water-based, so it's easy to clean, it's easy to repaint if I do get any chips on anything. And it's a brighter white than what was on there, so now those white accents really stand out even more. So, really happy to have that one done. Fantastic locomotive. Like I said, 844 is my favorite locomotive of all time. I love it. Always going to be my favorite. But yeah, we got some of my favorites out here. 4141 and 1943. Those are definitely my two most favorite paint schemes on a locomotive. As I've talked about before, the George Bush 4141, that Air Force One paint scheme is just one of the most beautiful, if not the most beautiful paint scheme ever put on a locomotive. And then I've talked about just the support to the troops scheme on this one is just fantastic. Love both of those, definitely my favorite paint schemes. And then I still have all of my Heritage units kind of chilling back there right now. Still doing some cleaning and stuff on those. But yeah, just a little update, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. And until next time, take care.